This is Frank from Frank's Clean Jokes in Athens, Georgia. Hope you're doing well. I want to introduce my brother, Robert. He is from Houston, Georgia, about an hour up the road from Athens. And Robert's going to tell you a funny joke.
Thanks, Frank. This is a fishing story. I'm not a comedian like Frank is. Frank's the comedian of the family, but I do have a story. Being 76 years old, you have stories. This is one I'll never forget. Just when we were kids down in middle Georgia, and we used to go fishing all the time. In the summer, it was fishing. We go back of Lake Tchalaka.
Lake Tchalaka. It's an Indian name. Lake Tchalaka in Ivy, Georgia, near Gordon.
We used to love to do that. Fish for bass behind the spillway and right at sunset. But this was early in the afternoon, and it was about 3 o'clock maybe. And I was there by myself for some reason. I always remember I had my Converse tennis shoes on. Remember those white Converse tennis shoes, low cut? I had a Zepco 33 spinner, a shiny silver looking thing. And I had my shorts on, Calypso shorts, went right below my knees. And I threw out and I started catching bass. I think they called it, they were bedding or something like that.
Yep.
And if you get on the bed, you can catch those. And I was catching them left and right. And I waded out in the water up to my waist, because I had to throw it way on the other side, and I had one of those stringers, you put the fish on. Since I was out in the water, I looped it through my belt loop. Nobody was there but me for some reason. And I just kept catching. I caught like 30, I'm thinking 30, 35 brim. And that's almost a whole string full. And this was kind of lightly put through my belt loop. This would be terrible if this slides off. And I took that stringer and I tied it really tight around my belt loop. About that time, my other brother came up, Alan. Nobody was there but me. And Alan came up and I said, "Alan, you won't believe what I caught." So I reached down with my hands and I grabbed that thing. And it was so heavy, that string of fish. And I pulled it up like that. And I got a surprise of my life. Halfway up that stringer was the biggest water moccasin I've ever seen in my life. He was like, he was tied to my belt loop. I didn't know what to do. It's like somebody pulled a fire alarm and, you don't think, I threw my spinner on the bank and I jumped and hopped and got over on the bank. And by the time I got over there, half the fish were gone and the other half were shredded. I had to throw the whole thing away. Anyway, that's a story I've told several times over my lifetime, and it happened to me. It's a real story, and you don't see many fish stories like that. You have any fish stories, Frank?
Well, I've got a snake story, then a couple of fish stories. Okay, I killed a snake in my yard in Gordon, Georgia that was so big.
How big was he?
He was so big that he had 16 rattlers and an out-of-state tag. The fish stories, I went fishing with one of my college roommates one time, Dale Brooks. This was between Gordon and Jeffersonville at their little family pond, and we caught between us like 275 small brim, and we caught so many fish, in fact, we couldn't put them all in one pile. We had to have two piles.
Wow.
They wouldn't all fit in one pile.
I don't know. That sounds like a fish story.
And the other one that I remember, when somebody catches a real big fish, you have to actually get it weighed by Department of Natural Resources or whoever for the record for it to be official.
Yeah.
Well, I caught a fish, real big bass one time.
How big was he?
Well, I'm going to tell you that. Be patient, young man. I went to the DNR office and nobody was there. It was after 6 p.m. And so I said, well, I guess I won't get the record. But anyway, the fish was so big.
How big was he?
He was so big that I didn't weigh him, but I took a picture of the fish and the picture weighed 5 pounds.
Yeah. Okay. Leave it to Frank to take the comedy spot here. He's the comedian of the family. Good to see you. Thanks for following my brother Frank. We'll talk to you later. Bye.